What up, what up, what up? Daniel Augustin here with an instant reaction from the Notre Dame Georgia All-State Sugar Bowl. It was time for Georgia to lose. It was time. Georgia had been stringing along wins all season. Wins that they didn't deserve, to be honest. They didn't deserve to beat Florida. They didn't deserve to beat Kentucky. There's a couple more that aren't coming to the top of my mind right now, but this Georgia team, the fact that they got to where they got right now, you know, I don't want to denigrate the work that they did do and what they did earn. I'm saying that they didn't deserve to beat those teams, but they beat them. They deserve to get where they got. They're the only team in all of college football thus far that has beaten Texas. They spanked Texas that first time. They got by them the last time. They deserved to have been one of the final 8 teams that were standing. But they also deserve to get that ass whooped tonight. Anytime your O-line plays like that against the opposing team's D-line, you can't win. You're not supposed to win, and you're not going to win. Notre Dame gave Georgia hell. Notre Dame gave Georgia hell on the D-line. Their D-line outplayed the O-line, and I mean, Georgia's O-line they've been getting beat all season. They've been a part of the problem. Their quarterback, their starting quarterback, is now injured, and a part of that is protection. So that's ultimately, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why. And it's not even just the Notre Dame D-line. It can't just be the D-line. It's that whole defense. They all came to play. They all came to hit. You got a Trevor Etienne fumble in the red zone. If I'm not mistaken, that was a blitz by one of the safeties. Trevor Etienne fumble in the red zone. Gators fans everywhere were just too geeked up about that. Way too excited. You should have seen some of the tweets that I saw online. Next possession, you get a Gunnar Stockton fumble in Notre Dame's red zone. Notre Dame made all of the plays that needed to be made. They made all of them. Because this game is a close game at halftime. It was just 13-3, if I'm not mistaken. Or 10-3 at halftime. Come out of halftime, Notre Dame returns the kick immediately. And now we're looking at 17-3. So, or 20-3 at that time. Automatically, you're looking at a scenario where they've been making the intangible plays. In basketball, those are the moments where it's a loose ball on the floor. Who's going to dive to get it? Notre Dame did all of the diving. They played this game as if it mattered more to them. One thing I won't stand for, if anybody's going to jump in the comments and have anything to say, one thing I won't stand for is any tomfoolery when it comes to how Gunnar Stockton played. He played very well. I personally don't feel like you could see much difference between him and Carson Beck, except for the fact that he throws a better ball than Carson Beck. Much more arm talent, stronger arm, more accuracy, more intentional with the accuracy. Ultimately, though, the wide receivers, I've been coming for the Georgia wide receivers all season. I don't know where these wide receivers came from. This batch of receivers are very, very awful. I've been talking about it all season. If you go back and watch one of my first few videos, when Georgia played Alabama, actually, is when I first brought this up. They've been playing awful. I mean, they're just dropping passes. They lead all of college football in the most drop passes. Dylan Bell drops a touchdown pass. They luckily score on that same drive, so, you know, he gets bailed out. But more drops over the course of the rest of the game. The play when Georgia was driving, they were making a comeback. If I'm not mistaken, it was in the fourth quarter. 14 minutes left on the clock. And Georgia's down 2 scores at this time. I think they're down 20-3 at this time. And Gunnar Stockton, it's a 4th down. Georgia goes for it because they know they need 2 scores. And, oh wow, it's on the TV right now. It was 9 minutes left, 4th and 5. 23-10. Gunnar Stockton goes and throws a fade pass to number 7. Here's the problem. I don't even know number 7's name. Number 7 is not a real wide receiver. I don't know if number 7 is a halfback who was going out on a route. I don't know if that's one of their receivers. Georgia has a depleted roster. Injuries made their season more challenging. I think the injuries gave them something to fight for. And it made them gut check themselves every single week to see how well can we do without so-and-so. How well can we do without so-and-so. Going deep to 7 on that play on 4th down. That is the only time in this game I will say where Gunnar Stockton made a mistake. Number 7 is not that kind of wide receiver, and the only way you would know that is by having rapport with your guys in practice. Number 7 is somebody I don't recognize. So that's probably somebody who last year was on the scout team or is deep in the depth chart. So that might be somebody that Gunner gets to throw to when Gunner's actually throwing in practice. Gunner had what? A week and a half, 2 weeks to practice, and he did an amazing job. He was out there slinging it. Accurate. I like him a lot. I think he is poised to be a very talented quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs moving forward. But throwing the ball to number 7 in that position was a bad decision because that's not a real wide receiver. Real wide receivers have the craft down pat, and it's innate. It's in their bodies. So they don't really misstep as it pertains to getting to where they need to be. Now, they might drop a pass. They might be in a situation where it's a jump ball and it's a one-on-one between them and the corner, and they're trying to, it's one of those situations where they need to win the jump ball and snatch the jump ball. My biggest beef with Georgia in that Alabama game and all season was that they don't come back to the ball. They expect the ball to fall into their lap. So that's another intangible that your wide receiver needs. But if you watch the play, number 7 had a misstep. Instead, he short-stepped it, he stopped, and he tried to jump to catch it. First of all, 7, you don't do jump balls because you ain't had no vertical on that play. You had no vertical. Could barely get over a credit card as low as he jumped. And second of all, with the rapport with your wide receivers in practice, you get to know who is it exactly that I need to go to on this play. Who is my guy? It's 4th down. So that I put that on the coaches as much as I put that on Gunner. Gunner needs to know, like, who's my guy? Who's my guy in this situation? Who's the guy that I love going to? But how's he going to know that when he's barely practicing with these people? But ultimately, Georgia everybody was giving them a fighting chance because they're the Georgia Bulldogs and because the fact that they made it to where they made it to, the fact that they're the only team that's given Texas hell. I guarantee you one team that's happy about Georgia getting eliminated is Texas, even though they got their whole work cut out for them. The whole season is on the line right now in a different kind of way. But ultimately, listen, Georgia really, had Georgia won this game, I mean, everybody would have just been saying, like, how are they doing this? How are they still pulling this off? The Georgia Bulldogs are just a team of destiny, clearly. I think they got as far as they could get and as far as they should get. They were getting subpar play out of Carson Beck. The O-line exposed what kind of quarterback Carson Beck is and would be and could be when he has a subpar O-line around him, in front of him. And I think it showed with Gunner Stockton tonight. That same O-line was in front of him tonight, and that same O-line was out there making it harder on him tonight. So this is a little bit deeper than just, it's Gunner Stockton and not Carson Beck. Gunner did not do anything to hurt this team. Not even that fumble when he got sacked in Notre Dame's red zone. That's just Notre Dame outplaying Georgia in the trenches. Barely anybody's going to hold on to that ball. He was in the middle of, he was throwing the ball when he got sacked. So the fumble is a part of the game. You need that margin of error, and they still had an opportunity because Georgia was still in this game. All they needed was 2 scores, and they damn sure drove the ball down and had their opportunities to get those 2 scores, but they weren't able to get it. So even just from the start of this game, the way Georgia started, they started out strong, Gunner making some really impressive throws, but then having that walk-on cornerback, number 38, if I'm not mistaken, on the sideline who runs into the referee and gets the penalty that moves Georgia back. That just lets you know what kind of night it might end up being, and that ends up hurting them. I think if they get a touchdown in that scenario, they're gonna infuse a lot more confidence into the entire team because of the fact that Gunner was responsible for helping them get that score. Nevertheless, he played very well. Gunner did. And I think moving forward, I wholeheartedly believe Georgia's success is going to be based on, yes, how well they do in the trenches when it comes to the portal and when it comes to recruiting high schoolers, but also where in the hell are the wide receivers for Georgia? They got to do better, man. They cannot come back next season with these same guys, this same crop of guys. Dylan Bell, Everett, I think is his last name, number 6. It's not going to get it. Far too subpar. I mean, this Georgia team with the Travis Hunter at wide receiver, whole different kind of ball game. I mean, you're not looking at this scenario the way you're looking at it because you're looking at a young man who's a playmaker. The guys they got out there right now, they all resemble guys who just became wide receivers and are still trying to put it all together. Nevertheless, they lose to a good Notre Dame team. This is a very sound Notre Dame team. This team is playing their best ball. When I say their best ball, I say their with quotation marks, because they are not the team that's going to come out here and be putting up 45 points on somebody. This is the kind of team that can stall you out, keep you from having the ball. Riley Leonard is the kind of guy who can just keep the chains moving, which ultimately gets the time just dripping, ticking, clicking, and you can't do nothing about it. In that fourth quarter, after Georgia had that misstep with that play that I just mentioned, that 4th and 5, on the next possession, Notre Dame gets the ball with 9 minutes on the clock, and they don't give the ball back to Georgia until they gave the ball back to Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, with like 3 minutes on the clock, and Georgia needs 2 scores. That's the kind of offense you're looking at with Notre Dame. They can just melt it. They can just bit by bit, first down by first down, because they got 2 good running backs. Hopefully Jeremiah Love is all right. He hurt his knee, if I'm not mistaken, in the first or second quarter, and did not return to this game. They're going to need him next week against Penn State, boy. They're going to need him against Penn State. Right now, the way things are looking, I'm not going to lie, I feel like I might be rolling with Penn State because of the fact that, well, we're going to see. We're going to find out what's going on with Abdul Carter, but Penn State just looks like a much more put-together team right now. But we'll see, because the Notre Dame defense, in my opinion, has more to do with why Notre Dame is where they are. That defense is clicking, okay? But hopefully he's okay. In one of my previous videos, I was talking about the fact that, having the first round bye, it's important because, your guys don't have to play as many games as the other guys do, and your guys are healthy. Every single team that had the first round bye lost. Every single team. Arizona State lost. Boise State lost. Georgia just lost. And who's the other team that had that first round bye? It's not even coming to me. Does it even matter? Who did Penn State just beat? They beat Boise. Texas beat Arizona State. Oh, Oregon. Wow. These teams have all been made irrelevant because of the energy that these other teams came in with. Notre Dame came in with energy. The Buckeyes came in with a different kind of energy. Let's be real. Texas, to me, is the only team that feels like they almost don't deserve to be where they are. But I think Ohio State might have a lot to do with rectifying that and making sure that Texas figures out that if you ain't got enough stamp, enough claim on why you are where you are, you don't get to stay. We'll see. Ultimately, this was a entertaining game because of the circumstances that Georgia presented, that they came in with. Also entertaining just from the standpoint of what happened. I don't mean to say entertaining like in a good way, but just from the standpoint of what happened in New Orleans the day before. Just didn't know what you were going to expect. Despite what happened, it was still amazing to see those fans that stuck around to root their team on. And the last note I'll make is just all 3 phases of the game. I just mentioned Notre Dame's offense and how they can make you wait and not get back on the field. I mentioned Notre Dame's defense, and I slightly mentioned it before, but coming out of halftime, Notre Dame's special teams returned that kickoff return for a touchdown, and that really just deflated Georgia in a way that they never bounced back from. They never really were able to bounce back after that and make it a game. That separated the game in a way where everybody felt like this was Notre Dame's game and it might get ugly. Nevertheless, very, very, very good game. Good game to watch. Georgia deserves all the credit in the world for getting as far as they did. Alabama didn't have nowhere near as many injuries as Georgia, and they just lost the ReliaQuest Bowl. Didn't even make it to the playoffs. Ole Miss just beat the piss out of Duke, and so I'm sure Ole Miss would have looked a lot better than Georgia just did, but they don't have nowhere near as many injuries as Georgia does either, not to the positions that matter most. So still got to give them the props. But Notre Dame moves on. Notre Dame's going to be playing Penn State. Absolutely looking forward to that one. These next 2 games we got coming up are just teams with some of the biggest brands of college football lore, college football history. Ohio State and Texas, Penn State and Notre Dame. Going to be very exciting. I'm absolutely looking forward to seeing what we get out of that. And I'm going to go ahead and call it here. If you guys got to this part of the video, I really appreciate you sticking around and rocking with me. I would absolutely appreciate it so much more if you messed around and decided you wanted to subscribe. You dig? Happy New Year. Thank you so much for watching. Looking forward to tapping back in just a bit.